Oh, what's up, demons and demonettes? Tis I, Traxy, Demon Queen, and today we're here to talk about Clashfronts. But before we get into it, as always, toss a like and subscribe down below. Now, Game 3 went much more like I anticipated this game mode to go. The practice round is over. The second practice round is over, and now we kind of get to the real competition and the real matches, right? So let's, of course, we'll take a look at this. We're gonna take a look at the teams where everybody in here at the start of the match was at Exalted. We'll just go in here and we can just look at the results here. Right, Exalted, right? So we're going against some better competition. And if we look at the guilds that we are going against, power-wise, so we can go here, we can take a sneak peek. Here's our guild. We have the two biggest accounts in the district, and kind of the, probably the biggest and one of the bigger accounts in the merge districts. So yeah, we have a little bit of an advantage in that regards, but as you can see, most of our core members are in that mid 50, I wanted to say mid 50 range, maybe a little bit lower, some a bit higher. You only have a couple people with Paragon 4, so yeah. Then we go here. We did make kind of like a trade. We did pick up one of the members from one of these other guilds. But as you can see, they are in the mid 50, low 50, kind of a similar power base, right? We just have the advantage with a couple accounts. This other guild, again, they are kind of the same here, right? So if we look at this, right, and nobody else really has Paragon 4. The only other person that might have Paragon 4 here is, but we don't see that. We can check it in later, but they don't have Paragon 4. And then again, we're up against Umbrella, which we were matched up against a couple times in our previous round. So, right, we kind of know where they are, right? So we can't really overextend this match. It's going to be very difficult. Again, I think most of the guilds either had 28 or 29 active people for this guild mode, right? So it's not like we had like a huge advantage even in numbers, let alone power. So we had to be a little bit more, I think, play more of that tight, aggressive style. And we'll kind of like talk about the overall strategy as we go round by round, and we'll try to take a look at teams as well. I just ran the same teams in my previous video. They just didn't do as well because, again, stiffer competition. All right, so this is just your basic round one, right? We kind of, we can, again, with the Paragon 4 advantage, we can afford to almost do a 50-50 split. I go against Umbrella. I think Umbrella's a little bit stronger than a Freedom down here. So we do 50-45-5. At least that was the goal. We did not necessarily meet all of our goals. Again, we were down one person, so we only had 97. And I think one person just like didn't deploy or just quit the game mid-match. All right, so we get everything we want this round. We take a look at our teams. You know, hey, my one-on-one team does smashingly as always. I don't even get to participate in the melee there. All right, so that one according to plan. So the next round is we want to take this guy, and maybe this guy, right? But ideally, we want to get one of these two, and then we have this free tile here. Yeah, we get this for free, and then we can just, if we lose this, we lose this. So here's how it goes. Right, so we kind of get what we want, right? So we get this tile here. This one was uncontested, so we put a lot of forces in it. Probably could have used some more to defend here. We did not hit our goal for defend here, so we were a little underpowered, where we do win the skirmish match, so we pick up some points there. We'll talk about that more later. We lose the melee. Now here, yeah, I left my Shakir Bomb team here to kind of defend. They didn't really go after it, so it was kind of useless. Here, we just kind of get chewed up in the melee, right? This guild went heavy, and like I said, when all of the guilds are kind of evenly-ish matched, even if you do have a slight power advantage, if they go all in on a tile, they may very well take it. And as you can see, they go on. We did not meet our goals here. I don't even think had we met our goal of, I think it was either 35 or 40, it would have made a difference. What I can say, what happens is all of my teams get chewed up in the melee this time, right? So where I win and I pick up a lot of points here, which is big because I picked up 80 points for us in the skirmish match. So that's an extra 80 points that we're now getting to our overall score. So even if we don't get the tile, we're still getting another 40 points. We're getting 20 points up on this guild and 20 points up on this guild. In that regards. So we could see, you know, here is my control team. Takes out a decent amount of teams, I think, at like 6. For this power level, that's probably about what we're going to see. For the most part, no 12 win streaks anymore. It's usually just about a 6, maybe a 7. If we go down here, we can see that my Vanguard team, which is the Athalia team, actually does the best and chews up the most teams out of my teams until we go up against a slightly like Paragon 1 type team when we're down below 50%. So we do eat up 9 teams with that, which was disappointing. Is this the... Yeah, this one I was a little disappointed in. I expected bigger things about it. This has not been defeated in the melee yet. But here we get chewed up. We just run into a control team, which, you know, this is good against control, but the problem is with the whittled down fatigue, it then I guess becomes vulnerable to control even with the Paragon levels, so that gets wiped out there. And then this is my Dundio team, which is still a fairly strong team, but again, it just kind of gets whittled down, and then we lose to, again, a control type team. Even though we're not really vulnerable to this type team, they do have Siren, which just seems to give our team problems. So yeah, we just kind of got whittled down against these stronger teams, because like in the previous rounds we were going up against maybe some Supreme or even down to like legendary heroes. That's the type of squads we were chewing up there. So it was a little bit more difficult here. So we don't get this tile. All right. Now the treasure hamster again. This is the 3rd game, and this is the 3rd time the treasure hamster has spawned in this spot. So I think in the next round I noticed that, you know, hey, they're kind of vulnerable here, and I'm like, I wonder if they're just not gonna go heavy to defend it, and we could just throw one or two squads at it and grab it. It'll be a good easy 80 points plus another 40 for the Vanguard skirmish, right? So I'm like, this is gonna be a couple easy points, so let's throw like one squad at it, right? And then I think we just go, we get this is a free tile, and then I say, hey, we're not gonna go big to defend this. We were actually supposed to abandon this. We're not gonna worry about defending this. We're gonna grab this, and we get the free tile here, because it's worth noting that this one is where the treasure hamsters are going to spawn. But again, getting a lot of these 150 tiles, giving up an 80 tile, giving up a 120 tile to get these 150 tiles will be nice. Now I do want to try to hold this tile again, because then that maintains us having a free tile here and an easy to grab tile here, right? So we do want to kind of still keep it, but I'm not going too heavy to defend it. Maybe I think it's like 10 squads here. We go like pretty heavy here. We go decently sized here, and then like I said, that's a free tile. Not everybody redeploys, and we'll see kind of like what happens, right? So again, we were supposed to redeploy from here, just abandon the tile, give it up, but they don't do that. We lose this tile, but at the same time, we did manage to throw, see, we threw one squad at it, and we managed to grab it pretty easy. We surprisingly, we lost the skirmish match here, but we win the regular match, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. We lost the skirmish, but we win the regular. I don't get it, but whatever. Anyway, All right, so we'll go take a look here. So we do go pretty heavy here. Now, the other guilds are trying to avoid us. Maybe they figure we're going heavy here too, so they need to spread out. So the one guild goes for here. They go heavy for here. And then they lose this tile because this other guild goes heavy for that. And then the red guild just kind of chews up purple. Now, I just noticed that red sort of abandoned this tile, right? And then we kind of went big for here, but again, we got it uncontested, and that was a free tile. Now, probably should have could have made a play for this tile. They didn't, they were kind of split. We're going to see in the next round that yellow is going to overextend themselves just a tad bit, and we're going to take advantage, right? And I think they did make an attack. Yeah, they did send a squad here, but it didn't do anything. All right, so basically we're going to go a minimum, I think like 10 squads I wanted here to defend this. We're going to bulk this guy up to 55 because in round 4, this is when we're going to get the treasure hamster. So that means we're going to get an additional 600 points. That's huge. You can see we get 730 from the melee in this last round, in round 3. So this is going to be 750 points from the melee alone, making this a highly desirable tile. So I said, okay, we've got 2 of the guilds. If they go all in, maybe they can take it. It's going to be very costly for them to take it. Let's make it costly for them to take it. Let's beef up. Let's go like 55. I think with 55, we should be more than able to hold this tile, especially since I have the majority of my P4 Vanguard squads sitting there, right? So it's going to make it very difficult. Here, we're just going to defend this tile. We're going to attack this tile, and then we're going to do the 1 squad thing here in case they leave these lightly defended to grab this. Here, we're only going to worry about trying to defend 1 if they grab this one. This is the one I figure they're going to go bigger for. So I'm like, we'll just outmaneuver them, right? So we'll just try to grab some tiles here. And then, since it looks like this tile isn't being defended that much, I'm like, let's go ahead and we'll try to grab this guy as well. Since we have the squad sitting out there, since we did lose some tiles. So let's kind of see how it goes. You know, it kind of plays out how I think they do make a play for here with 1 Vanguard squad, and the other one does make a play for it with 1 Vanguard squad. So we're able to easily defend that one. Here, we defend easily as well. They don't even send a Vanguard squad, so we pick up the win there. They do go here, but not heavy, so we're able to easily kind of like defend and hold this point. So we get the big points here. You can see 1400 from the melee. 750, so over half of our points are coming from this guy here. Now, yellow does make a play for this tile, but like you said, they made a play for this tile. They tried to defend this tile. They tried to defend this tile. They tried to defend this tile. They just leave squads. They leave squads there, and they leave squads here to try, I guess, and defend it. But they also make a play for this tile. So they kind of overextended themselves, which is one of the things that I was worried about most in this match, just with all the different nodes out there, was, okay, it's going to become, the last 2 rounds, round 4 and 5, are going to be about one thing. Controlling this, and then seeing if we can take advantage of another guild that overextends themselves, or just trying to pick up easy tiles that we may be able to easily grab to add in to this score, right? So like we lost that one, that was expected. We held this one, that was good. We managed to grab this one. We failed to grab this one, but we do pick up a couple extra points here in the Vanguard skirmishes, so that's at least a consolation prize. I didn't make a play for this. We held this. All right, so now let's talk about what we do for the next round. I essentially go with the same plan. I'm like, look, I'll give up this 100. I don't care about this 100. I expect yellow based on their moves. I'm like, look, all we need to do to win is hold this tile, and we're good. If for some odd reason we lose this tile, if we can just hold another tile, will be good as well. We just have that much of a lead at this point. So what I say is, all right, we put 10 here. we abandon this tile, right? And we attack this tile because I figured they're going to go a little bit light on the defense here. Because they're probably going to want to try to attack all of our tiles that they can touch, right? So I think they're going to try to go after all of their tiles. Red unexpectedly comes up after here. But it is what it is. Again, I put minimal squads there just to try and hold it. But the big thing is we just need to hold. And then anything else is just icing on top of the cake. So again, we're going to send one squad here, one squad here. And then, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright, so as you can see, we flip-flop here. We lose this tile. We managed to grab this tile. We lose this tile. And like I said, this was kind of the surprise. We lost this one to red. Then we grab this tile. And we hold this tile. You can see yellow just kind of overextended themselves. And they could have got second place. But again, that's why you have to be wary. You can't really like overextend because then you're going to leave yourself vulnerable, right? So here we send 10 squads to their 14. They tried to hold, they lose. They went a little lighter than I expected. They went for 5. So I guess they threw a minimum at us and tried to hit it. Here, you know, nobody really goes for the hamster. They don't want to make that gamble. We don't hit the goal that we want. That was a common theme this round, is we're not hitting those numbers. I think I wanted 10 here, not that I think the extra squad would have mattered all that much. But we do pick up points in the skirmish. It's just that, you know, they come after us big there. As for here, you know, again, we just do the 1, and here they reduced their squads here, so a strong Vanguard squad here by our player is able to actually eliminate and take the tile. Yeah, like I said, the Shakir Bomb team did lose. It only took out 5. Again, I was a little disappointed, but again, we get chewed up in the melee. We don't really have anything to kind of counter this at the beginning, so it's very annoying to deal with. Yeah, so it's just like where, you know, it is what it is. Most of my teams just sit here for the majority of the match. This is the only team that after then that one round really gets any action. So it's really basically just my my Vanguard 1, just kind of like racking in the points whenever we get attacked here in the Vanguard. It's basically having our biggest account kind of like sit on the most valuable tile, while we have our second whale, or Kraken as you might say, kind of maneuver around, right? So here it's like, yeah, we knew we weren't going to be able to hold everything, so I'm not going to try to hold everything. I'm just going to go like, what's going to be vulnerable, what can we take? And you see we do fairly decently here actually in the melee. Not as good as round 4. But we do enough. Obviously, we secure the win just by holding this tile here. So this match, I will say, is more akin to what I expected out of this game to be. And it's basically just controlling what you can control, and then just trying to anticipate and hit those soft spots. Just to add some extra points on as like a buffer, you want to say from like first to second, or second to third, that type of thing. As you can see, it's a pretty tight race here between a second and a third. Second they may have been better off. I know they like went after us, and that's fine, but they may have been better off going after the red. It's addition by subtraction that way. Like, yes, they're going to get potentially maybe less points by than going after us, but they would get more points than red, which is what they need to do. Right, so it would be more like point denial. So again, we didn't really need to do much. Round 5 was just really holding this, because again, 750 points, 1160, so more than half of our points for this round came from just this hamster tile. It just goes to show you how big this tile is, and if you are the big guild and you can grab that hamster and hold that hamster, that's going to be big, right? So then you just only need, like I said, we don't control most of the board, not like like the last 2 games, right? Because if we go to game 2, the end map, we're purple, looks like this, right? We control almost the entire map. We have 8,000 some odd points. Game 1, again, it's essentially the theme. Oh, this is the one where we can go for complete global domination. That just does not happen in game 3. It becomes more about, like I said, controlling the hamster and grabbing whatever weak points you can. I think you get. It's about creating those free tiles as well, right? Because like I said, this had become a free tile for us for quite a few rounds, which was big. That essentially then gave us a free tile here for a round. Yeah, I mean, obviously I would have wanted to defend here, but it's tough when you want to go on the attack. Do I want to try to hold this 120, or do I want to grab this 150? You know, yeah, but by giving up this, then I'm going to leave myself vulnerable here in the next round. So I just kind of have to factor that in to the overall planning. But that's why I say it's more of a game of cat and mouse. So, like, you know, your round 3 or 4 to 5 is just kind of anticipating where everybody's going to make their moves, and maybe sacrificing tiles to grab other tiles and just going for the win. Because again, it looks like first place gets 11 points, second gets less, third gets less, and fourth gets even less. So you can see they get knocked out, and we get bumped. We're the only one that stays in Exalted, because if we go and take a look at the rankings, you can see that all of the first place guilds, or the top 11 guilds here, all have 118 points. That means they would have scored first place in all of their rounds, or at least the last 2 rounds, because I think we're getting 11 points for a first place finish. Because I think we started out at 96, so then we went to 107, and then 108. Yeah, so 11 makes sense, right? And then you have the one of the second. I don't know how they do tiebreakers here. I don't think they do tiebreakers. It's just whatever algorithm they have that spits out the results, probably spits out this guild first, second, third, fourth. So that means our like match was calculated, we'll say 10th in the algorithm, whatever way they calculate it. Similarly, because we already know it's first come, first serve in game modes like Guild Supremacy, Battle Drill, it's first come, first serve is always the tiebreaker in all of the game modes. Whoever's the first to get those points gets that. So everything is, I guess, supposed to be calculated at the same time, but without knowing the exact tiebreakers, or if there are any tiebreakers, I have to assume that it works like all the other game modes, and it's going to be first place. Now the question is if we can afford to get a second place finish next round, and that should probably still keep us in Exalted, unless a couple of these guilds pick up first, and then I don't know. So we'll kind of have to see. Obviously, the goal in the next round is to get a first place finish. I don't know how they seed or match up. My guess is not great. We had 20 guilds that were in first place last time, and that is now down to 11, right? That have the 11-18. So you would figure that we had 80 guilds in all in the legendary or exalted bracket, and now it's going to be even more. I think the first one was 80, and then expanded. So yeah, it's 128. So the question is how we get matched up, right? So are we going to get an easier matchup? Are we going to get a harder matchup? Like I said, there were 20 guilds that were in first place, and we went and there's only 12 exalted guilds. So that means we had one of the tougher matchup, because we went against 3 exalted guilds. Now, because we have maxed out score at 118, we also have 11 other guilds at 118. We can infer that we did indeed have the hardest match, because like I said, there were 20 teams and only 9 of those teams got eliminated. So we probably had one of the harder, if not the hardest matches out there. I mean, by process of elimination, we can assume that there were a couple, like, so we lost 9 of the max score teams. So if 3 move on, that means that we had 9 total teams get knocked out. So that was 3 matches like ours between the Exalted. That's only 12 teams. That means that 8 of these teams had very soft or very easy matchups, or at least easier, I want to say, matchups than we did. So my hope is that we do not get matched up against Exalted guilds again this round. Maybe we can get a softer round. I don't mind if we get matched up against one of these other ones. I mean, we can pretty much, as long as it's not, say, like Absolute or a Nightfall, I'm not too worried. Because again, all of these other guilds are, because those are the only other guilds that have those 70 million plus base power accounts that have a lot of Paragon 4. That's comparable to our second guy's account, or like a Brownie's account, right, where they have some Paragon 4, but it's going to be mostly Paragon 3, Paragon 2 type heroes, whereas my account's primarily going to be Paragon 4, Paragon 3 for my Vanguard teams. Anyway, that's gonna be about it for this one. Yeah, so let the cat and mouse games begin. We'll see how game 4 goes. It is the final game in the set. We have now been Exalted for 2 rounds in a row. So hopefully we just can kind of hold that spot so that we can get that gold trophy. And we can get the ugly ass fish outfit, the Fishman Island outfit, whatever this thing is that people just aren't a big fan of. I just want the trophy so we can kind of bookend them, maybe. I don't know. We need more trophy space than 4. But again, even if we do lose for some reason, we are getting max rewards in that we're getting all of the stellars, we are getting all of the reds, and we are getting all of the yellows. That's the big thing. And there's no real change here in the game rewards from legendary to exalted. So you're not getting like 31, you're getting 30,000. So the only, like I said, the only difference between exalted and legendary is this ugly ass outfit. And the statue is that you get a silver statue instead of the gold statue that we want. Again, that's going to be it for this one. Good luck in your next round, and I hope you garnered some information from this game. Bye!